So apparently there was a secret wedding that happened.
Timestamps down below because we're going to kind of react to something that happened kind of fun. We will probably clickbait that too. That's the famous Sarah clickbait, but you know.
Oh dear.
So yeah, I think it was a slip of the tongue, but we are all here for it. So we are going to talk about kind of two things, good old-fashioned Viv and Beth video, because they recently did a joint interview together, and we're going to kind of read from parts of it. And I mean, I don't get enough of these joint interviews. I mean, their banter with each other
get such a kick out of it. They really like digging into each other.
Yeah, they do. And they both find it entertaining, which that means we find it entertaining. So we're going to talk about that. But then also we're going to talk about, like the intro talked about, something that happened at the Arsenal Aston Villa game this weekend. But realistically, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit right now about the WSL season is over. It's done. Chelsea did win. We had talked about that on our last video, because last week when Chelsea beat Arsenal, they pretty much locked it in that they were statistically more than likely to win a WSL title. So they won official. I believe it's 4 years in a row they have won. I mean,
yeah, it was all over Instagram.
Yeah. They were partying it up. We all saw Magda and Pernell's last game. So they won. Then Arsenal played Aston Villa. It was not the last game everyone was hoping for, because Arsenal lost.
Yeah, it's too bad.
It was kind of bad. They were at home. They lost 2-0. And but no one, because they had the season that they did, no one's given them a hard time based on they know what kind of season they had.
Yeah.
And they ended up third for the WSL, which a lot of people were saying, hey, so many injuries, so many things going against you, to end up third is quite an accomplishment as well.
Not bad, yeah.
So they ended up third. Actually, I did not realize this. I thought they had to at least tie this game, but apparently they still had enough points to get to third to be able to go to Champions League. So they have qualified for Champions League. So after all is said and done, this year they won the Conti Cup. The next year's Champions League, you can't, I mean, at the end of the day, it's actually pretty successful given all the injuries.
Yeah, right.
Kind of a but also Arsenal. They're losing Rafaelle Souza. Apparently, she's going to the NWSL next season. That's the rumor.
Oh my
that Pride is eyeing to sign her, or they may already have signed her. But that's the move that a lot of people are talking about, which we would not be sad about that.
Not at all.
Which sucks for Arsenal fans. She's such a major part of their success. But yeah, so that'd be cool. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that'd be hot.
So Arsenal versus Aston Villa, they played, and at the end of the season, the announcers there's talking about this and that. They were talking about the Golden Boot race at the very end of the game. I think it went to like 100 minutes. There was a really long game. Rachel Daly actually ended up winning the Golden Boot, scoring 22 goals, and she had an amazing season. I think she was the Barclays Player of the Year or something. She won an award, so she was killing it. But the announcer kind of made a little slip. And this is what we're going to talk about. The announcer made a little slip on Viv's name, because the announcer was talking about Viv in comparison to Rachel, because they had a similar record, or Rachel broke a record. I tied a record, something like that.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised that this hasn't happened more often. Ever since these two have started dating.
Right, because it's basically the same name. I know even before they started dating, Arsenal would like ship their names together, like Miedema, like MEAD, Miedema. And I mean, this has been like an ongoing thing even for Arsenal to talk about. But I'm gonna play the little clip, and we're gonna see the little slip that the announcer made.
And Rachel Daly with a joint record 22 WSL goals in a season, tying with the tally that Vivianne Mead hit for Arsenal.
So we just played it. So
he said Vivianne Mead.
I love it. I mean, that's basically almost her name, basically. But it's not. It's Mead. It's obviously Beth Mead, Vivianne Miedema. But hey, sometimes...
Same name.
You know what's so funny about that, too? Sometimes I'll be talking on our videos that we do, and I won't finish a thought. I'll say half a word, and then Sarah will tell me, you didn't even finish your word you were saying. And that could have been basically what he was doing. He was thinking Miedema, got to Mead, and said, okay, moving on. You know what I mean?
So relatable.
Or he was thinking about just Beth Mead's name and Vivianne Miedema. I mean, it's the same name in so many ways, but not.
Same team, same name, same everything. No.
Okay, so this is the question. If they were to get married, would it be Vivianne Mead? Because they can't hyphenate. Okay, listen to me. Listen to me on this.
You're out of control.
Could they hyphenate? Vivianne Miedema Mead. That is the most repetitive name.
This is why you come up with a new name.
Okay, what would it be? Okay.
Beth and Vivianne Mead dash a hyphen Miedema.
Yeah, no, spelling it the way that Arsenal ships them together, which would be MEAD Miedema, but it be spelled like Miedema, not like Vivs Miedema, not that way, just the opposite spelling.
But be one of a kind and have like a hyphen in like the middle of your name.
Could do that
instead of hyphenating two names.
That could happen. No, because it
could be Banana Hammock,
or it could be Beth Mead Miedema or Vivianne Miedema Mead. It's so repetitive, yet I like the idea. I do like the hyphen. However, I would just do the.
No, yeah, I would just mash them together.
So that was kind of the clickbait that he, just shortened the name. I think everyone knows what he meant to say, but the fandom gets a kick out of it. What can you say? The fandom gets a kick out of it. We love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did not get married, apparently. No official announcements, so.
No.
Okay. So that happened this weekend. So the next part of the video is going to be Viv and Beth did this interview, and there's some pictures. We'll put the pictures, and I mean, they don't shy away from these interviews, and I love it. They're the couple that says, hey, they seem pretty open about have been doing interviews throughout the year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so this was for a publication. I believe this is a publication in the Netherlands. Because it was in Dutch, and then you just auto translate it. Looks like it's behind a paywall, but it's not. You just have to sign up for like a free account, so you don't have to pay for anything. So it was kind of hard to find. I'll try to link it down below, but you do have to sign up for a free account.
Did you sign up for a free?
Yeah,
account?
I did. But this kind of talks about so many things. It talks about Beth's mom being sick and, how they spent time in Beth's hometown. This talks about their injury, how they were both injured and what that felt like to be injured together. And also talked about why so many people are getting injured and how it might not be a coincidence that the schedule is what it is and there's so many injuries. Talked about just being a public couple, what it's like, for Beth and Viv. Who likes it more, who likes it less. We're not going to go over the whole interview, but we're going to read some parts, and timestamps down below if you want to just kind of skip around too. But we're going to read from some of this interview and just kind of talk about it.
Miedema and Mead about the emotional start of their relationship, being famous, and the World Cup. People sometimes have no boundaries. Vivianne Miedema and Beth Mead, the star of the England team during the European Championship, are teammates at Arsenal and lovers. Ooh.
I love it.
Bizarrely, they tore their cruciate ligaments in quick succession and are rehabilitating together, visiting London for a story of intense grief after the death of Mead's mother, support, and their fame.
Yeah, so this goes over a lot of things, obviously, and it's also translated, so some of the words might be a little translated kind of sounding.
Might be,
a little choppy. But, it talks about those kind of things. And we're just going to kind of read from some of the questions, and we're going to kind of talk about it, so...
Okay, so the interviewer asks, "You've been together for almost a year. Is this a good relationship test?" Mead says, "Yes, and look, she's still alive." And Miedema says, We were sitting there together on the couch. What the F did we do, and how is this all supposed to work out? Cry and laugh. Then it shoots in all directions." And Mead said, "We only have good days and bad days. We have good days and bad days together. 9 months of rehabilitation is a long time. We're together at home. We're together in the gym. It's not always easy, but being together also gives a lot of support. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from each other. That also makes sense in a relationship." And Miedema says, a bit teasingly, "Beth is also quite present." And seriously, "At home we just do our own things. I was able to make more time for War Child and Common Goal, for which I am an ambassador. I can hardly sit still. Beth is pretty good at doing nothing, hanging out in Netflix." And Mead says, "Yeah, my favorite thing." Miedema says, "Beth got injured first, then I did everything for her for 3 weeks. I just kept training, and then her mother's situation came along. I had hardly had any time off after the European Championship. It all got a bit too much for me. It is therefore no coincidence that I got injured afterwards. It's of course not the reason, but the fatigue does play a role. If you're not free in your head, you're not free in your body. And Mead says, it's not often that you go through so much in the beginning of your relationship. So true.
So there was a lot there. So we read from, and I mean, at the beginning of that question, it kind of just says, talking about their injury and the rehab, you know, Viv says she did everything for Beth, you know, because Beth was injured for 3 weeks. And, you know, that was the start of their injuries together. And then obviously Viv got hurt. It talks about, you know, they have good days, they have bad days. It's not easy, you know, even though they have each other, it's really not easy. But also just always being together, at home together, at the rehabbing together. But it also says themes like, also seems like they're really good at prioritizing maybe like alone time or their space alone. Even for like Sarah and I, like a lot of times we're at home together, she'll be in her office or I'll be somewhere, and so, you know, it's
We'll see each other for hours.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're really good at doing that as well, you know, to know if they need space to just decompress by themselves. It seems like they know that they're good at just kind of relaxing by themselves. So
Yeah, and that's good because, like, I mean, they're still kind of in like the, you know, early-ish phases of the relationship.
Overall, yeah.
You know, beginning of a relationship, you know, it's like, oh, how do you tell someone I want my me time?
Right.
You know, without it being like a bad thing or something.
But I think
So that's
also,
cool.
but I think also because they have been so together so much that almost fast forwards their relationship a little bit too, because they are together and they've been friends, and, you know, so relationship almost goes and fast forward a little bit.
Yeah, it's like we're watching the movie Click.
But it says, Miedema teasingly says Beth is also quite present. I love that. She's
also quite ... present.
Yeah, I love that quote.
I could just imagine the way she said that.
I love that. But it's good that, you know, she said Beth is also good at doing nothing and hanging out and playing, hanging out on Netflix and stuff. But also talks about the one thing I did say in here that Viv makes a point to say, you know, I got hurt. Obviously, they had the European Championships last year, and she says right there, the schedule and the fatigue didn't necessarily cause the injury, but it didn't help / the schedule's too much. Obviously why a lot of them are getting injured. And she says it right there. She says, if you're not free in your head, you're not free in your body. And that is very true. If you so much going on in your head, your body is not, you can't concentrate 100% on what you're doing with your body, you know?
Yeah, it's like they're not even connected.
Yeah, so like it says right there, been through so much in the beginning of your relationship that, you know, it has been quite a year for them. Quite a year. It's almost been exactly a year for them. And so it's already been crazy. Then it kind of talks about a little bit, we're not going to read this part, but it just talks a little bit about them being together for Beth dealing with the death of her mother. And like we talked about this in the last video, it kind of bonds you as a couple being through something so tragic or something so serious. It kind of even more so bonds you as a couple.
Yeah.
It says right here that they spent 3 weeks, I believe it said 3 weeks, in Beth's hometown of Whitley in the northeast of England. That it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but they were there for 3 weeks while they were, you know, with Beth's mom. And also she talks about that Beth got hurt. It was almost like Beth's mom got to see her win the Euros. Then Beth could have spent so much time with her at the end of her life that it was almost like a God thing in a way. You know what I mean? That she was there for her. It was very poignant that they got to be together. Okay, so now it kind of talks about what it's like to be a famous couple in England. It says, what is it like to be a famous couple in England? We're going to talk about this.
So Miedema says, I don't like the attention, but Beth loves it.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to stop you. That is so freaking funny. That is such a Beth. That's such a Viv's thing to say to Beth. Like, you just love it. You know what I mean? You love the attention. But she explains why it makes sense going on. But I love that quote.
Okay, so Mead says, sometimes yes, it depends where we are. I put my own positive spin on it. If people know who we are, it means the women's football is on the rise. If people wish you luck or strength with your recovery, isn't that nice? A year ago, I could walk down the street and people had no idea who I was. And Miedema says, sure, that's nice too, but people sometimes have no boundaries. It starts with a signature and then they want a video for their dog's birthday.
That's pretty funny.
What? As if the dog can't even appreciate who they are.
I know.
On holiday or when you go out for dinner, it is best to do so undisturbed. An autograph is always possible afterwards, but not during dinner. At least I would never do that myself. But this too is different for Beth. I've always had this in the Netherlands and England for the last 6 or 7 years. It's all new to her. I'll ask you again in 7 years. And Mead says, then I'll give the same answer.
Oh, okay. I couldn't. Was it the same answer that Viv is giving or the same answer she initially gives? I think that Viv is saying that she'll be kind of like over it almost.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, at first I thought it was, the same answer that
she initially gave, yeah.
But yeah, it might be.
Could be actually probably either coming from Beth, because I do know it does seem like she's really enjoying it.
She lives for the applause.
Yeah, which I think is awesome. But Viv says right there, she goes, maybe, Viv has had 7 years of being very recognizable, whether it's in the Netherlands or whether it's in England. Viv has a statue. I mean, she's very known. Yeah. So she's saying, it's been like this for so long, you might get tired of it. And Beth's kind of saying, yeah, I might. See, but Beth is enjoying it. She's just enjoying the fun that goes along with being a celebrity, going to the parties and going to everything. So she's enjoying it. And Beth seems like that kind of person. We've talked about this in length, but she's enjoying it. I think it's awesome. That's one of the reasons why people want to be professional athletes, to do fun things. Not all of them, but a large percentage says, hey, it's a fun lifestyle. And after all her years of hard work, now being able to enjoy it. But also, I don't remember if you remember this. So Viv has always said in the Netherlands, she is very recognizable, and she can't really go out to a bar, a restaurant, a club, anywhere without being recognized. If you remember during quarantine or even before then, when she talked about being in Scotland a lot with Lisa, that she goes, I love being in Scotland. No one really knew who I was or didn't come up and talk, didn't come up and would be too aggressive about things. So she goes, she really likes that. Okay, then Jay says, is it difficult to be partners and teammates? And then we've kind of heard about this, but we'll see what they say here.
Mead looks sideways teasingly. She yells at me sometimes. Viv's an angry person.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. I think Viv is my soulmate.
Yeah. She is.
There's so much to get angry about, And Miedema says, yes, I have high expectations of my fellow players, especially if they play less than they can. Our relationship has no further influence on how we treat each other on the field. I correct teammates when necessary, yes, also with Beth, and vice versa too. And sometimes she could use a kick in the ass. And Mead says, not every 3 minutes. She's a diva, sometimes. And Miedema says, stop it.
Oh my goodness, the banter is real. The banter.
I would have loved to see a video interview of this.
Yes, or all in fun and games. It's like a playful banter, and I love it. But also, I've seen Viv. This was, I think, before they were dating. But there's videos of Viv yelling at Beth. If I can find it, maybe I'll put it. But like really being vocal on the pitch about what she didn't like or what she likes. And I probably can't find it. But so yeah, she's not shy to say what she really thinks, how she's feeling at that moment.
I love angry Viv.
Yeah, but they make it clear that just because they are in a relationship, it doesn't change how they treat each other at work, or they happen to be in a relationship. They're 100% serious and professional, and it doesn't so far it doesn't seem like it's interfered with their relationship either, which is good. Now they're talking about the last year's Euros and talking about their journey. Viv got COVID, couldn't play for a lot of it, and then Mead was a breakout star and England won and everything. Then the interviewer says the contrast must have been crazy, talking about the two players' experiences.
Miedema says the European Championship was disappointment after disappointment for us. I felt very good towards the European Championship. It should have been my tournament. But I was in my hotel room with Corona for 10 days. Everything flew into Beth's. I saw it on live TV in my room. We spent hours and hours on FaceTime. Of course, I did nothing. She had to tell me what she experienced, and we pulled each other through. And Mead says, I will never experience a tournament like that again. All stadiums that were packed, how we stirred up the country. And Miedema says, winning something makes you popular for a while. We experienced it with the Orange in 2017 when we won the European Championship in our own country, but after that you really have to keep going with new expectations. I hope they keep it up. They have to do well at the World Cup and to keep the flow. It's never going to be like the first hype again, but you have to build on that hype.
Yeah, so just talking about their differences with the Euros. What's crazy? Such different experiences, but also Viv won it in 2017. They both won it on home soil. So they literally experienced what each other had experienced. So as much as it didn't go Viv's way last year, I mean, she had that high just 4 years before, or 5, because they pushed it back a year. But
I'm starting to think that these two are more interconnected.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. Same
Their
name,
names.
same person, same look.
Yes. Same look. Yeah,
They
exactly.
might be doppelgangers of each
Yeah,
other. Same
exactly.
experiences.
Yes, so much the same, exactly.
Maybe
So
they
yeah.
are meant to be.
Maybe. And then we won't read the rest, but it kind of just talks about the World Cup, and it just says, what do they think about going to the World Cup? Yeah, obviously they're both injured. Viv just basically said, I'm not going to be ready. I wouldn't even want to go if for some reason I could, because I wouldn't be playing at any level that I would see fit myself as playing. You know what I mean? If she's not at her highest level, she doesn't want to go. Then Beth kind of makes a comment saying, hey, if there's 1% chance I could go, obviously Serena Vigman's only going to field people who are ready. But if there's 1% chance, Beth is still open to being able to go if Serena would find it, if she was ready, you know.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, what are you going to do during the World Cup? Viv says, sleep and don't look. Because she does, if I'm not there, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then Mead goes, and Mead says, opposites attract, right? I'm definitely going to watch England's games. It's hard to see, but you still want to follow it. You can't escape it either. Just as difficult as it is to watch Arsenal play, you sit in the stands and kick in the air. Viv is analyzing. So she says, as much as would be hard for her to watch if she's not there, that she still wants to watch, even though it's hard.
Right.
Just like them watching Arsenal games. Nothing you can do. You're analyzing everything.
Viv says, we spend the time without football usefully. Last year, I completed my study, business, and marketing. Together, we also did a first training course, UEFA B. That was really fun to do. We did an internship at Arsenal under 14, and we want to continue with that, and also with an eye to the future. With a smile, maybe Beth can become my assistant. And Beth says, no way.
I love that.
No way.
She's a no way, never to your assistant. I love that. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I will link it down below. You might have to sign up for a free account. You don't have to pay or anything, but super fun. I love these interviews. They're banter. There's, it's like, and they don't take what each other says seriously. Some couples can't be that playful without someone's feelings getting hurt. They seem like their feelings are never hurt. It's banter. They're having fun.
They love what the other one says.
They do. They love how feisty each other are. They really love how feisty each other are. It like turns them on. Yes. Is that? Can I say that? They are so in sync. They were like one person. But what did everyone think? If you read the interview, what was your favorite part? I love it. In 7 years, we'll see if Beth still likes the fame. Because I think I always bring this up, but I always say like a Megan Rapinoe. Megan Rapinoe loves being famous. She loves dressing up. She loves everything that comes with it. She will never not like being famous. And there's a lot of other footballers, famous, players who probably just really like the fame, the party aspect of it. And I think Beth is going to be one of the people who's going to enjoy it, really enjoy it. You know what I mean? For a long time to come.
Yeah.
Because that's her personality. Her personality is very outgoing. Questions, comments down below. What everyone think. You said the WSL season's over. Congrats to Chelsea winning league title. And happy that Arsenal got a positive out of the season. They trophies. At least one I know. And then they're going to Champions League, and we'll see what happens next year. And it's been a fun season. It's been a tragic season, but also fun. Questions, comments down below. We'll talk to everyone soon. Have a great night. Bye.